Hi, and welcome to another one of my videos. Today I want to explore Vue JS. It seems to be one of the latest client-side JavaScript frameworks, and I want to explore it a little bit and see how easy it is to get started with it. I've tried other frameworks such as Knockout, Angular in the past, Angular 1, not Angular 2. And I took a brief look at Angular 2, but it seemed really complicated. It seemed totally different than Angular 2, Angular 1. So I couldn't even, excuse me, I couldn't even use the knowledge that I had about Angular 1 and Angular 2. So I didn't even try that. I went with Knockout a while back. And then I started taking a tutorial on React, but React seemed really complicated. It had a steep learning curve. And then recently I started hearing about Vue JS, spelled Vue. So it seems pretty easy. So let's take a look and see what it can do. So let's just get started by visiting the web page and let's take a look. So on the web page, I have this open. So let's Google Vue JS. And if we visit that, so to get started, we click on the Get Started and what is Vue.js, and it has API and examples and so on. So what if we want to download it? Getting started. So it talks about the script. Okay, we can actually download it from here apparently. So let's visit this. See if we can get it from here. If we go there, we should be able to get it. Let's see where it takes us. View. Okay, so we have this view. And what I like to do is I like to copy the whole thing. And let's go ahead and create a folder. A brand new folder. Not that. So let's go to File Explorer. And let's go to, I like to keep my projects in depth. So let's create a new folder and call it Vue Demo. So we create the Vue Demo folder, and as usual, I am going to create another folder for my JavaScript, where I can call it lib. Let's just call it JS. And then one for my styles, new folder, CSS, and let's create a page called index.html. Let's get rid of that. Can we find a seed for HTML? Bare HTML template. Okay, let's see if we can find one. So let's go there, and can we find one? Okay. So he has this. So this is good enough. Let's copy this, and let's go into index.html, and I like to open my folders up with code. So let's go ahead and open it up with code. If you haven't downloaded code, you can always get it. Just download Visual Studio Code. I like it because it's nice, fast, and easy. And so let's paste that in here. And let's change some of the things here. So let's call this Vue JS Demo. And the content, we're just hijacking. Name author, let's call it beginningProgrammer.comm. The style sheet. So for style sheet, let's see what we can hijack for style sheet. Let's find a good style sheet. I think one that I used before. What is it called? I can't even think of the name. But let's go take a look at my old website. Let's see what I used here. Let's see the source. And I use, looks like I didn't use that playground site. No, I didn't have that. grid something. What did I call it? Oh, maybe grid simple grid style sheet. Oh, ridiculous. That's what it is. It's called ridiculous. Ridiculous. And the reason I like ridiculous is because um, hmm, let's see how complex it gets. Okay, so here it is. So we can actually get ridiculous, and you can see it's fully responsive. Boilerplate takes you all the way from this to this, whatever. Right. So if we look at ridiculous, it's all we have. So can we view this? Okay. This is just a sample of how you use it with rows and columns and everything. We can come back to this, but what we're going to do right now is we're going to download ridiculous. And so we want the raw. And we take this and we are going to call it ridiculous in our project with our project here. So we go into CSS and we create a new file called like that. And that should already be in our Visual Studio code. So we should be able to go there and we paste it here. And we don't worry too much about this. Let's just go to our index. And where it says style sheets, we can say CSS and then we can say ridiculous. Is that right? Let me do a control C. Okay. Not control T. Later, control Y. Oh, control Y. There we go. So we have ridiculous here. And if we go to our sample on the web, here it shows us how we can include ridiculous here. So let's go up one level and look at the let's look at the license. Free software, copyleft requirement when distributing, blah blah blah. So we don't worry about that. We're not going to sell it or distribute it or anything. You can use it as is. So let's take a look at the sample HTML. And let's see. So it asks us to do this in our template. If we don't have this already, we'll add it. So let's go to code. And let's add that at the top. So we do that. And for our head, we might have a lot of this stuff already. UTF-8, we have that. We have a lot of this already. So we can do a lot of this. And it's probably necessary because we need it in order to make sure that ridiculous will work. So let's go ahead and let's add it on top of this. I'm not sure that I need all that other stuff. So title. Ooh, that's supposed to go on our head. So what we need to do is take this, put it above title. And take these, take title out, and take the meta. Okay, I think we're fine here. And we have description, content, we already have a description. We have viewport, which we didn't have before. And as far as style sheets, we have the style sheet there. And let's see what else we need from ridiculous. We have the style sheet. One of the things we need is the site container. So let's go ahead and add that. And let's see, body. Script.js. We don't need that. Script.js. So let's get rid of that. And here, let's take this and let's move it back. Oh. Let's go ahead and add a few spaces. So it has header, class row, and we don't have this. We just have ridiculous. We have Vue JS with ridiculous sample page. Okay, that's good enough. And then we need the site content main. So let's take that after the header. And we should be able to close off this div. And then let's just create some, for now, let's create some dummy data. Okay, we don't need all this. Oh, okay, footer. Maybe we can put a footer. Let's add a footer, why not? We can always come back and fix it, and the footer is on its own. So let's go ahead and do that. And is that inside the div? Wait a minute. It's inside the main div. Okay, so let's put it inside the main div. I think it is. So let's see. Yes, it's inside the main site container. So we actually have to take this and put it inside of here in order to have a footer. And let's go ahead and create the content main, the site content main. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to get rid of this when we get going. So let's go ahead and take the row main and let's go ahead and put it in here. And let's just take a look real quick and see what it does and see how it displays. Make sure that it works. And this, first of all, we have to save all. So we save all and we go back to our CSS. So we have the Vue demo and let's go ahead and view it. We can view it in anything. Let's go with the default with Edge. That's okay. That's okay. So we view it and you see a sample page. I'm not sure that this looks like it's supposed to, but doesn't matter. Let's go ahead and look at this. So if we do footer, it has a lot certainly. So what we can do is just say footer column 1, and let's say footer column 2, and so on. And let's do the final one. We save that. And we have several rows. We really don't need all these rows, so let's get rid of some of these rows. So let's see. We may need some of this stuff. C4 end, I think it just wants to show you that it's the end row. And you can nest rows and everything with ridiculous. So let's just get rid of this. Because the focus is not that. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. Oh, our footer's not showing up. Wait a minute. Oh, did we save it? We saved it, but it's not showing like I expected. Let's save it. Saved. Footer class row. It's not showing like I expected. Sometimes you have to change your, in order for it to recognize a different version. So let's see if it pulls it down. Oh, it's still not working. Why is it not working? Let's try pulling it in with a different browser. So let's see. Open. Oh, I want it to open. Whatever happened to my open with? I don't like this. So let me see what if I hit shift and then say open with. Oh, see how it didn't show me open with earlier? Oh, it did show me open with. Okay, I just didn't see it. So let's see. Oh, there's my footers. Okay, so this is showing my footers, and this is showing those grids. So let's go ahead and change the columns. That's a lot of stuff in those columns. So let's go ahead and just put something shorter. Hello world, like that. The end. Excuse me. Excuse me. Ah, okay, so hello again. So let's save it and see if it recognizes it. Let's see. So there it is, and it kind of shows it to you that way. And I don't know why it has this. I guess because it has a row and it has another row with only one column. And so that's why you see two columns. But we're going to change all of this anyway, so it doesn't matter. So let's go ahead and let's assume that we wanted to display some data. And for our data, let's say that we wanted to display student data. So let's say that we had a row, and that row would probably be our header. So let's say that we had a student ID, and let's make it, I'm not sure how many columns. I assume it's 12 since you have 8 and 12. So let's say that the ID was maybe 3, and then we had another one. Okay, and I missed this div. So let's say that we had another div, and that would be, let's go for, and one of them is first name, and then let's go with last name, and let's say the other one would be what grade the student is in, grade, and we can actually call this one the end, and let's get rid of that last one. And let's say that we had another row, and that other row will make it just like this one, except we have data in it. And let's go ahead and add data. So now when we have data, let's say that the ID was 1, 2, 3, 4 or something like that, and then let's say Joe and Smith, and the grade will say freshman or something like that. Freshman. So that gives us some content, and of course we have our footer information. And so let's go ahead and save it, and let's refresh it and see what it does. Okay, so we do have something now. We have ID, first name, last name, grade. So let's just say that now we actually want dynamic data to show up. So in this case, let's say, for example, let's go take back, not there, but here, let's go take a look at the view examples. Okay, so this is site point. We don't want that. We want view. And it says that once you include this, you should be able to do something. So let's go ahead and do the hello world. So if we do the hello world, we should be able to get some kind of data. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to have a div with the ID app. And let's see if we can get that in there. Let's create something else above it. So we have this, and we just have app, and we need to have some JavaScript. And the JavaScript, does it say? It seems like we have to have it at the bottom. So let's go ahead and take our app and define our JavaScript at the bottom. So we have the app, and let's go ahead and add a script tag at the bottom, and let's see. And let's see if we get data. So this right here, you recognize that it's creating an object, but you notice that it's calling the view object, which is included when we include the script. Where's our script? Wait, did we include our script? Ooh, wait a minute. Okay, we have our script here. Ooh, we never included a script. Oh, so we don't have the script yet. So I thought I grabbed it. So let's go out and grab our script. So according to this, I should be able to get the script from here. So I have the script here, and I'm just going to call it Vue JS. So I can go over to my project and go to Vue JS and create a new file and name it vue.js. And in that file, I can paste the Vue.js code. So I have all of this, and I can go ahead and save it. And I can save all since I have other stuff that's not saved. So now in here, I have to put a reference to my script. And the way you do that, oh, let's go back here. So I have to do it just like this, right? So I have to add a script reference in my head. So I can take this and say, okay, let's go ahead and add the script, except I'm not going to go out to the web to do it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to JS, and I'm going to say vue.js, and that should include my Vue.js. So that should have it, and I can save it. And now when I do this, see, hello Vue. So we know that it worked. So now it's a matter of, okay, we know we have Vue.js. And it's really important for you to do hello world anytime you're doing something like this. Like, don't try to add everything the way it's supposed to work, because there may be issues. There could be issues where you gave it the wrong path, or you have the wrong file, or you have a misspelling, or it could be a number of things. So it's best to start off with the small sample. And you notice that I have app here. I have the div app, and then I have hello Vue, and we know that it worked. So now let's just say that we had something like, for example, here we had a student, right? And we had a list of students, and let's just say we have a student class. So let's say we have students. So we give it a var students, right? And we could say equals, right? And we're going to create an array of students here, and we just say, for now, we say our students are, they have an ID 001, and then they have a first name Joe, last name Smith, and grade, we can say soft, let's say fresh. Let's make them a sophomore. So we have a sophomore student, and we just have an array of 1 right now. But let's add a couple more. And a couple more. So let's give it an ID of 2 and make her Mary and make her a freshman. And let's do 003. And let's make her Ann Williams or something. I don't know. It's common names. And let's make her a junior, or let's make her a senior. Why not? So now we have an array of students here. And to make it probably easier to read, let's do this. I should have done this from the get, and it would have been easier. And I'm missing my closing tag like this. And so I'll do that. Do that. Do that. And do that. And grade. And that's the grade. So I have my three students. They seem to be syntactically correct. And okay, so I have that. So now for my data, right? Okay, for my data, I want to have something like students, right? So how do I do that? We're gonna have to figure that out because now what I want is I want to have here, I want to have students as part of the data, right? And I have students, right, as my data. And so now that changes everything. So now I have an app and I have view and I have data and I have students. And so I want to display the students and I want to display them like this, but how do I loop through? And I know there is a way. So now let's go through this rendering. So, okay, we have, that's not a complex object, that's bound. Okay, so let's just say that we had, um, hmm, let's see, data, we don't have that. We have to do text. So we have to do here in array, something like what we want to do, and they have text, right? So I can do something like this, right? Where I have a list of items. So I can do a V4, right? To do and to do's. So for student and students. So let's try that. And you notice that they have that. So let's go ahead and do that in our sample. And we already have a row and we have a div. And we probably want to have a div here, but the only way to get it in there is going to be to do a div. So this is a list item. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to say for here somewhere b4 b-4 b-4 equals student. We'll just say stu and students, right? And we have to close it off. And here we're going to have to say student. We use the symbol stu dot ID like this. And we're going to have to do this stu dot first name and stu dot last name. And we're going to have to do stu dot grade, right? Now keep in mind this is all unrehearsed. I didn't go through it. I never used Vue. So, you know, if I make a mistake here, you know, and I likely will, I always make mistakes, you know, when it comes to coding the first time. So we have this, and I haven't done it before, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. So now here we have this, we can actually say, ID equals site content, right? But that's not going to work um, because we have site content and you can't have the same ID. So now we have site content. So we can call, I didn't even notice this, that I had two site contents. In reality, you can't do that. You can't have two. Uh, so I'm not sure why I had that, where I got that from, but let's get rid of this div because we can't do that. We can't have multiple divs with the same ID. And we can call our app site content, right? Because there's nothing stop us from that. So instead of our ID being app like it is here, we can call it site content down here where we have the app. So but we can't have dashes in names in Java. So we can call it site like this. But see, that may interfere because I don't know if that's going to interfere with what we have for um, ridiculous or something. So it could be a problem, but I can't have that in there. I don't think I can. So I'm going to name it site content like this. That's my app, and my app is going to know to do that based off of this. So I have site content. My app is site content. Let's see if it displays the students. Let's go take a look. Let's save this, and let's go back to this, and let's go ahead and do this. Ooh, look at that. It didn't know what I was talking about. It kind of did that. So let's go back and see what we did wrong. So I have stu ID for stu and students. Um, so I'm doing something wrong, obviously. So I have data. I have to-dos. Um, I do have students data. I have students, and my students are there. Um, I have site content of my app. Oh, wait a minute. So, ooh, that's interesting because the actual binding is set to app. So maybe I can have site content here. So I can say site content, and I can just name this my app. Um, Maybe I can have it like that and have that as my site content inside the students. That's why it's not linking, and have this named with a dash in it. So let's see if that works. And voila, there it is. Simple example. Uh, getting getting the data to show up. Now notice something interesting here. My ID didn't come out right. So what happened with my ID? Let's take a look. So it's ID uppercase. We have ID in students. We have that site content. So what do we have wrong? Oh, we have an extra curly brace in that. And so there it is. And let's take a look again. Okay, so let's see it's 001. And that I think is because the ID is not a string. If I was to make it a string, right? Because 001 and 1 is the same thing, but if we had actual IDs that were strings. And keep in mind that um, when you're doing IDs, since you're not going to do math, it's probably best if they are strings because you don't want to drop off any zeros. So now I should display the 00s. Okay, so there you have it. Vue.js with ridiculous example. And so what if we wanted to hover on these, what if we want them to highlight when we select them? Or if we wanted to style them a little bit differently. So maybe there's a way to do that. Let's see how much time we have. So we've done 33 minutes. Let's go a little bit further and let's go to highlighting and maybe we can display the details. But first, let's see if we can hover when we hover over them and they can highlight. So what we can do, let's take a look if you can do that with Vue. Okay, so if we Google highlight div with Vue.js, and probably gonna take us to Stack Overflow. So apparently there's a way to do that. So let's see. Let's take a look at this. If we take a look at this, so conditional display use vShow. That's a conditional. I don't think. Oh, we have this. Oh, transition name equals fade. So okay, wait a minute. So we have a condition, fade enter active, fade active. Ooh, how does that work? How does that work? Fade interactive, fade enter leave, okay. I don't think I quite understand this transition thing here. That must be coming from Vue wrapper component. So um, interactive fade leave. I wonder if this will do it for us. I don't. It doesn't seem like. Okay, so there are 6 classes applied for enter leave transition. Enter 2 only available in versions. Okay. Leave. Okay. This might be more complicated than I really want to invest in. I don't think I want any of that. We can add what we can do is we can say something like highlight change background color hover div css. Let's do it just with straight css. Let's stick to the basics. So when you enter, so let's see, how can I make it act as if a line of div is anchored, so when I hover it turns red, and he tries to do it here. So he has the class E and he wants it to highlight, and then somebody probably writes the answer. So it has E hover. So it's that simple. So what we need to do to our project, we can add a, um, a style, and we can add the style right here, and we can say style. And we can say for a class, it would be record or something like that. We can call it student record. And then we can say, okay, we get rid of. So we're gonna do student record hover. So we want hover, and we can get rid of this. And we're changing the background color, so let's just change it to red for now, like it does in the example. And in order for that to work, we have to add that class to our student record. So we must make it student record. So, and it's student record. So here, in order for that to happen, we must make it of the type also student. Ooh, wait a minute. We don't want this. We want it on the whole row. Student record. So let's save that. Let's see if our style works. So let's go ahead and do that. Ooh, it didn't work. Why not? What did we do wrong? So student record hover. Student dash record hover background color. And it's not going to hover. And it's not hovering. Student record. Okay. Let's see if it does it over here. Oh, it worked over here. I don't know why it didn't pick it up over there. So now you can see that it is highlighting when we highlight these. but let's make it something a little more bland. So let's pick our color to be something like maybe cornflower blue or something like that. So we say, so it's red, green, blue. So our red, let's make it AA. And in order to make it blue, let's make it AA, red, green, blue, right? And let's add a little bit of blue. And let's see what that looks like. So let's save it like this. Oh, see, it can even show us. We need more blue than that. What about DD like this? Oh, still not much blue. What if we say FF? Wow, it's not showing much. What if we make these 8 instead? That's a little bit better. That's a little bit too much red. Let's get rid of some of the red. It's a little too perfectly. So let's go 5.5 on that. Yeah, like that. Okay, so save it. And let's go back to our example. Well, for some reason it doesn't work over there. Okay, so you can see it highlights it. Okay. So now one thing we want to do is, let's say we want to display the records, the detail records of these guys. And so let's create another page that when we hover over it and click on it, that it shows us the details for that particular student. So let's just say, for example, every time whenever we clicked on one of these, that it showed us how it displays the details for that particular record. So if we do that, we can go into ridiculous here, and let's create a series of rows. So let's create a div right here, and let's call it class. And this time, what we want is we're going to call it a row, but this time we're going to call it student details, right? And what we want to do is we're going to need to bind to something. And let's close out our div. And let's say, for example, for now, let's just create something that has maybe a list of items or something like that. And let's say that we have, let's say that we had an unordered list of data. And let me try something a little bit different. What I'm going to try here, what I'm going to try here is I'm going to do I'm going to do li like this, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say current student, right? So I'm going to say the current student, and it's going to be like this. I'm going to say current student, current dot ID, and I'm going to say ID. And I want to see if this even works. I don't know that this will work. So let's just say that I had something like that, and I had, so let's say that I have current ID, and I have first name, and I had last name. And then I had, let's say grade. And so for that, put enough spaces on these. Let's see. I don't know what this is going to do. So I say current ID, current first name, current last name, current grade, like that. And of course, this is going to be how do you do a v-bind? So let's go back to the Vue JS and how do you get data? Um, so it's going to be current, right? How do we do it for our app? Let's see. No, not that way. We just said message. So based on our app, it's going to be current student and that. So it should be enough. We should have enough because we already have the student record and we have student details, right? And we have the current ID. So now we're going to have to just set our current to that. So we have student details and we're not going to loop through anything. All we're doing is current student ID and so on. And in order to do that, we're going to have to add that to our data. So we have current student, right? And we can say students. We'll just make it 0, right? We'll just make it student 0. So we just leave it like this. But now there's going to be something that when we select, we change it. But for now, let's just do student 0. So it should display student 0. And let's see if this works. Let's see current. And we named it current student. So we're going to have to name this current student. Well, let's not do that. Let's just name it current. So let's see if this even works. Save it. And let's go to our demo. And it does, but we have an error somewhere. So the row student details has an error. So that means we have some kind of error on our syntax. So let's take a look. Class row student details ID. So what's the problem? Oh, we don't have an equal sign there. So let's do that again. And now you can see that it shows the details. And of course, what we want to do is we want to be able to click on one of these in order to select that, and we change our students. So let's say that, for example, when we click on it, right? When we click on it, it changes this current student. And some of that we can do with traditional binding and clicking. But since we're using Vue, does it handle clicking? Um, Vue JS. Okay. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. So let's see. So we know it has on click. I want to see. So here it has a click counter plus equal 1. So it's executing Java. So that tells me that this can execute JavaScript right here. So let's say that if I had be on click, when I do this on here for the students, if I do be on click, v dash on is v dash on, right? V dash on click, and then equals change, and we'll just call it change current student, right? So, and we want to execute that. Now, what we want to do is execute change current student, but our JavaScript is down here. So we need to create a function that says change current student. So what we can do is we can say function change current student like this, right? And we can take our view. And so how do we access our view object, right? Because that's going to be the key, because we created app. How do we access the data to change the current here. How do we access the data? Okay, so we need to look that up. So how to access data, Vue.js, JavaScript. So how do I access the data? So let's see. Let's see in best practices. Okay, so I have a demo. Hmm. So maybe you got to do it through watchers or something. I don't know. Hmm, methods. Oh, look, here's a way to do it. We can do it too on child message, function message. This message got it. So maybe I need to do it through the methods. And this dot message is message. So maybe I can do it through methods. So maybe if I say here where I say data, I say methods, and I add on change current, and I can just tell it a function, and then I can say and so I have to select from the students for var I. I'm going to do it the hard way. I list and students dot length I plus plus if. So now I have to get the data. So that's interesting because I need to have the student ID. Wow. Okay, so let's just say ID. If ID equals, right, and students right, then I can say this dot current equals students I break. So I don't even need this here. I just know that I'm change current. But now the question is, how do I take that current? How do I take and bind that current? So how do they bind that? Do they even show that? Oh, they do. So it says on child message. So you can see the where it does that. So child, ooh, that says child component. Why does it have to have a component? So why does it need that? I don't need the component. So I just need to have on click, and I need to have, I think I just need to have this and just say on change current here, like that. So I need to say unchanged current, I think. And but how? That's interesting. Unchild message. How does it know the message? Is it because it's bound? That is confusing. That is confusing. So I don't know how I'm going to pass the ID to that when I need the ID. Maybe I need to do like this. Let's give it a try. It doesn't hurt to try. So I don't think it's going to work, but let's give it a try. Didn't work. What if we said, what is it doing in terms of console when it's telling me invalid expression? Error compiling template. Okay, it's not able to compile the template. It's telling me this is invalid. Well, um, that's a very interesting topic, and I don't think I can get you there. I'm already at about 57 minutes. We'll have to leave off on that, and then I'll address it. I'll address how to fix it on my next video because right now I'm not gonna get there. I already know I'm not gonna get there. I can try, but I know I'm not gonna get there. Uh, and that's because I don't know how to bind the click event. So on change current didn't work. It doesn't know what I'm talking about. Let's see if I can bind this to, let's just say, uh, click handle click or something like that, something silly like that, and see if it knows how to handle click. And if I was to put here function handle click, and this is giving an alert. Hi, handler. And so we did that. Would it work? Let's just take a look. Let's save it. Let's refresh this. Handle click is not defined. Handle click. Handle click. So apparently, part of the problem is that this is not defined. And that's because, let's see if we do that. What if we did that? Let's see that. Okay, it didn't give me an error that time. So when I click on it, it says handle click is not defined. Property or method handle click is not defined on the instance, but referring during render, make sure to declare. So that's kind of one of those chicken egg problems because I'm defining everything down here, and in reality, this already took place. So I'm just wondering if I'm even including Vue at the right place. Is it supposed to be included at the bottom of the project? Like say for example down here, and then it would recognize it. So if I was to do that, when I click on it, no, it's still that's not defined. And that's because handle click is defined much later than when this is binding. And that's kind of interesting though. I mean, one way that this could take place is that, don't do this until the DOM is ready, but even when the DOM is ready, then you can still can't handle the click. So that's kind of interesting. So, but I'm not going to be able to handle that right now. I'll leave that as a project for the next tutorial. I couldn't get to it, but we'll get to it. We'll get to it. We'll solve it. And this is kind of a learning experience for me too. I haven't played around with Vue, but I'm gonna have to figure that part out. And that'll be on the next video. So stay tuned and we'll tackle it and I'm sure we'll get through it. Thanks for watching.